In a world where the extraordinary dwells among the ordinary, a revelation shakes the very foundation of human society. Once concealed in the shadows, a secret society of individuals with extraordinary abilities is exposed, sending ripples of panic and fear throughout the human population. These gifted beings, with powers beyond comprehension, must now navigate a treacherous path to prove they are not a threat, all while grappling with internal conflicts that threaten to tear them apart. Within these pages lies the chronicle of their journey, a tale of resilience, unity, and the enduring human spirit. From the moment of awakening to the trials of acceptance, from betrayal within their own ranks to the search for allies in unexpected places, this is the story of those who bear the burden of extraordinary gifts in a world that fears what it cannot understand. Chapter 1. Awakening. The first stirrings of my newfound power were as subtle as the morning breeze, yet as profound as the shifting tides. It began with a whisper in the depths of my consciousness, a gentle tug at the threads of my reality. At first, I dismissed it as mere imagination, the fanciful dreams of a mind desperate for escape from the mundane monotony of everyday life. But as days turned into weeks and the whispers grew louder, I could no longer ignore the undeniable truth. I was different. I possessed abilities beyond the comprehension of ordinary humans, gifts that set me apart from the rest of society. And with this realization came the dawning awareness of a world far beyond the confines of my own understanding, a world teeming with secrets waiting to be uncovered. It was a journey of self-discovery unlike any other, fraught with uncertainty and peril at every turn. Yet, with each passing day, I grew more attuned to the depths of my power, harnessing it to bend reality to my will. And as I delved deeper into the mysteries of my existence, I knew that my destiny was irrevocably intertwined with the fate of the secret society to which I now belonged. For I was no longer merely human. I was one of the gifted, and my journey had only just begun. Chapter 2. Unveiled Powers. As the realization of my newfound abilities settled within me, I embarked on a journey of exploration and understanding. Each day brought forth new revelations, as I delved deeper into the depths of my power, uncovering layers of potential I never knew existed. At first, the manifestations of my abilities were sporadic and unpredictable, like sparks of lightning in a stormy sky. But with patience and practice, I began to gain control, learning to wield my powers with precision and finesse. It was a thrilling yet daunting experience, to walk the razor's edge between mastery and chaos. For every triumph was accompanied by the looming specter of failure, a reminder of the awesome responsibility that came with the gift I had been bestowed. But amidst the challenges and uncertainties, there was a sense of exhilaration unlike anything I had ever known. To feel the raw power coursing through my veins, to shape reality with nothing more than a thought. It was a sensation that defied description, a glimpse into the infinite possibilities that lay before me. And yet, even as I reveled in the wonder of my abilities, a shadow hung over me like a dark cloud on the horizon. For I knew that with great power came great danger, and that my newfound gifts had drawn the attention of forces far beyond my comprehension. But I was undeterred, for I knew that I was not alone. In the secret society of the gifted, I had found a family unlike any other, bound together by a common purpose and a shared destiny. And together, we would face whatever challenges lay ahead, united in our quest to prove that we were not a threat to be feared, but guardians of the light in a world shrouded in darkness. Chapter 3. The Society Revealed. As whispers of our existence spread like wildfire through the streets, the veil of secrecy that shrouded our society began to unravel. What was once hidden in the shadows was now thrust into the harsh light of scrutiny, as rumors and speculation swirled among the populace. Some viewed us with awe and reverence, seeing in our abilities the promise of a brighter future. Others, however, succumbed to fear and paranoia, their minds poisoned by the insidious whispers of mistrust and suspicion. It was a tumultuous time for our kind, as we grappled with the consequences of our newfound visibility. For centuries, we had lived in the shadows, concealing our gifts from the prying eyes of humanity. But now, our secrets lay exposed for all to see, and we were faced with a choice. Retreat into obscurity once more, or stand tall and face the world head-on. In the end, there was only one option for us. We would not cower in fear or shame, nor would we allow ourselves to be cast out as pariahs. Instead, we would embrace our identities as the gifted, using our powers for the betterment of all mankind. But as we ventured forth into the light of day, we knew that our path would not be easy. For every ally we found, there were countless adversaries waiting in the shadows, ready to strike at the first sign of weakness. And so, we steeled ourselves for the challenges that lay ahead, knowing that our greatest battles were yet to come. But no matter what trials awaited us, we would face them together, united in our resolve to prove that the gift we bore was not a curse, but a blessing, a beacon of hope in a world consumed by darkness. Chapter 4. Panic in the Streets. As the news of our existence spread like wildfire, panic gripped the streets like a vice. Ordinary citizens, once blissfully ignorant of the world beyond their own, now found themselves thrust into a reality they could scarcely comprehend. Rumors ran rampant, fueled by fear and uncertainty. Some claimed that we were monsters, lurking in the shadows, waiting to pounce upon unsuspecting victims. Others whispered of government conspiracies and secret experiments gone awry, painting us as pawns in a sinister game of power and control. In the midst of the chaos, our society became a target for those who sought to exploit our gifts for their own gain. Charlatans and opportunists emerged from the shadows, promising protection and salvation to those who would pledge their allegiance to them. But we refused to be swayed by their false promises and empty threats. For we knew that the true measure of our worth lay not in the fear and mistrust of others, but in the strength of our convictions and the purity of our intentions. And so we stood firm in the face of adversity, refusing to be cowed by the storm that raged around us. For we knew that no matter how dark the night may seem, the dawn would always break, bringing with it the promise of a new day, a day where the gift we bore would be celebrated, not feared, and where the bonds of solidarity would triumph over the forces of division and discord. Chapter 5. Struggle for Acceptance. Amidst the chaos and uncertainty that engulfed the world, a glimmer of hope emerged on the horizon. Slowly but surely, the tide began to turn as pockets of resistance formed against the tide of fear and mistrust. Brave souls from all walks of life stepped forward to champion our cause, standing shoulder to shoulder with us in solidarity against the forces that sought to tear us apart. They saw in us not monsters or abominations, but fellow human beings endowed with extraordinary gifts, and they were determined to ensure that we were treated with the dignity and respect that we deserved. But the road to acceptance was not an easy one. For every ally we found, there were countless others who remained entrenched in their fear and prejudice, their hearts closed off to the possibility of reconciliation and understanding. Yet we refused to be deterred. With each small victory, we gained momentum, forging ahead with unwavering determination and unwavering resolve. And as the days turned into weeks and the weeks turned into months, the tide of public opinion began to shift, as more and more people came to see us not as a threat to be feared, but as fellow travelers on the journey of life. But even as the clouds of uncertainty began to part, a new challenge emerged on the horizon. For within our own ranks, dissent simmered like a dormant volcano, threatening to erupt at any moment and tear us apart from within. And so, as we stood on the precipice of a new era, we knew that our greatest trials were yet to come. But no matter what obstacles lay in our path, we would face them together, united in our commitment to forge a brighter future for all who called this world home. Chapter 6. Betrayal Within. As the struggle for acceptance raged on, a shadow fell over our society, a shadow born not from the outside world, but from within our own ranks. For amidst the unity and solidarity that had come to define us, whispers of dissent began to circulate like poison in the air. It started with subtle murmurs and sidelong glances, the first signs of discord in an otherwise harmonious chorus. But as time went on, the whispers grew louder, fueled by resentment and jealousy, until they could no longer be ignored. At the heart of it all lay betrayal, betrayal of trust, betrayal of friendship, betrayal of everything we had fought so hard to build. For there were those among us who saw in our struggle not a chance for unity and cooperation, but an opportunity for personal gain and advancement. They sought to undermine our efforts at every turn, sowing seeds of doubt and division wherever they went. They whispered lies and half-truths, turning friend against friend and ally against ally in a bid to weaken our resolve and sow chaos in our midst. But we refused to succumb to their machinations. For we knew that the strength of our society lay not in the power of any one individual, but in the collective spirit of cooperation and mutual support that bound us together as one. And so, we confronted the traitors among us with courage and determination, rooting out their treachery and casting them out from our midst. It was a painful process, fraught with heartache and sorrow, but it was a necessary one if we were to preserve the integrity of our society and ensure that our cause would endure. For in the end, we knew that our greatest strength lay not in our extraordinary abilities, but in the bonds of trust and friendship that united us as one. And no amount of betrayal could ever hope to break those bonds, for they were forged in the fires of adversity and tempered by the trials of time. Chapter 7. Finding Allies. Amidst the turmoil of betrayal and distrust, a glimmer of hope emerged from the darkness, a beacon of light in a world consumed by shadows. For even as our own ranks were torn asunder by treachery, allies emerged from unexpected places, ready to stand by our side in our time of need. Some were old friends, steadfast and true, who had stood by us through thick and thin. Others were new faces, drawn to our cause by the fire of righteousness that burned within us. But no matter their origins, they shared one thing in common: a commitment to our shared vision of a world where the gifted were treated with the respect and dignity they deserved. Together, we forged bonds of friendship and camaraderie that would withstand the test of time, standing shoulder to shoulder against the forces that sought to tear us apart. We fought side by side, united in our determination to prove to the world that we were not a threat to be feared, but allies to be embraced. And as we journeyed forth into the unknown, we knew that our path would not be an easy one. For the road ahead was fraught with peril and uncertainty, with dangers lurking around every corner. But with our newfound allies by our side, we faced the challenges ahead with courage and determination, knowing that together, we were stronger than any obstacle that stood in our way. For in the end, it was not the power of our abilities that would determine our fate, but the strength of our bonds and the depth of our conviction. And as long as we stood together, united in purpose and resolve, there was nothing that could stand in our way. Chapter 8. Training Grounds. With our allies by our side, we embarked on a journey of preparation and training, determined to hone our skills and prepare ourselves for the challenges that lay ahead. For while our powers were formidable, they were also unpredictable, and we knew that only through discipline and practice could we hope to harness them to their full potential. And so, we sought out the guidance of those who had come before us, wise mentors who had walked the path of the gifted and emerged stronger for it. Under their watchful gaze, we pushed ourselves to the limits of our abilities, testing the boundaries of what we thought possible and discovering new depths of strength and resilience within ourselves. It was a grueling process, fraught with frustration and setbacks, but it was also a rewarding one. For with each passing day, we grew stronger and more confident in our abilities, until we stood on the brink of greatness, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. But even as we trained, a shadow loomed over us. The knowledge that our enemies were watching, biding their time, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And so we remained ever vigilant, knowing that our greatest battle was yet to come, and that only by standing together could we hope to emerge victorious. And as we stood on the training grounds, our hearts filled with determination and resolve, we knew that no matter what the future held, we would face it head-on, united in purpose and bound together by the unbreakable bonds of friendship and camaraderie. Chapter 9. Unraveling Mysteries. As we delved deeper into our training, we also turned our attention to unraveling the mysteries that surrounded our existence. For too long, we had lived in the shadows, concealing our true nature from the prying eyes of the world. But now, as the veil of secrecy was lifted, we were determined to uncover the truth of who we were and why we had been blessed or cursed with such extraordinary abilities. Our quest for answers took us to the farthest reaches of the earth, to ancient libraries and forgotten tombs, in search of clues that could shed light on our origins. We studied ancient texts and consulted with scholars and mystics, piecing together fragments of knowledge in a bid to unlock the secrets of our past. But the more we uncovered, the more questions arose, leading us ever deeper into the labyrinth of mystery and intrigue. Who were we, truly, and what purpose did our gifts serve? Were we the product of some long-forgotten experiment, or the descendants of beings from another realm? And what role did destiny play in shaping our lives and guiding our actions? As we grappled with these questions, we also faced internal conflicts and doubts, questioning our own identities and the nature of our existence. But through it all, we remained steadfast in our determination to uncover the truth, knowing that only by confronting the secrets of our past could we hope to forge a future worthy of our gifts. And so, with each new revelation, we pressed on, our hearts filled with hope and anticipation, knowing that the answers we sought lay just beyond the horizon, waiting to be discovered by those brave enough to seek them out. Chapter 10. Facing the Accusers. As our training continued and our understanding of our gifts deepened, we knew that the time had come to face our accusers, those who sought to vilify and condemn us without understanding or mercy. It was a daunting prospect, to confront the very forces of fear and ignorance that threatened to tear our society apart. But we were undeterred, for we knew that the truth was on our side, and that justice would prevail in the end. And so, with courage in our hearts and determination in our souls, we stepped out into the light of day, ready to confront our adversaries head-on. We spoke out against the lies and misinformation that had been spread about us, challenging the prejudices and preconceptions that had taken root in the minds of the masses. But our words alone were not enough to sway the hearts and minds of those who had been poisoned by fear and mistrust. And so, we turned to action, using our powers to demonstrate the truth of who we were and what we stood for. We healed the sick and wounded, using our gifts to ease suffering and bring hope to those in need. We protected the innocent from harm, standing as beacons of light in a world consumed by darkness. And we fought against injustice and oppression, using our powers to champion the cause of freedom and equality for all. But even as we stood firm in the face of adversity, we knew that our struggle was far from over. For the forces of fear and ignorance were deeply entrenched, and they would not be easily swayed by reason or compassion. And so, we braced ourselves for the battles yet to come, knowing that only by standing together could we hope to emerge victorious against the tide of hatred and prejudice that threatened to engulf us all. Chapter 11. The Price of Secrecy. As we continued our fight for acceptance and understanding, we began to grapple with the consequences of our society's long-held secrecy. For centuries, we had hidden in the shadows, concealing our true nature from the world out of fear of persecution and ostracization. But now, as the truth of our existence was laid bare for all to see, we were forced to confront the consequences of our silence. Many among us bore scars, both physical and emotional, from a lifetime of hiding who we truly were. We had lived in fear of discovery, constantly looking over our shoulders and second-guessing every action and word. And though we had found solace and camaraderie within our own ranks, there was always a part of us that longed to be accepted and understood by the world at large. But as we reached out to the broader community, we encountered resistance and hostility at every turn. The world was not ready to accept us for who we were, and many viewed our gifts with suspicion and fear. And so, we were forced to make a choice, to continue hiding in the shadows, or to embrace our true selves and face the consequences head-on. It was a difficult decision, fraught with uncertainty and risk. But in the end, we knew that we could no longer live in the shadows, hiding who we were out of fear of what others might think. For our gifts were a part of who we were, and to deny them would be to deny ourselves. And so, with courage and conviction, we stepped out into the light of day, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. We knew that the road would not be easy, and that there would be sacrifices to be made along the way. But we also knew that it was a journey worth taking, for it was a journey towards acceptance, understanding, and ultimately towards freedom. Chapter 12. Unity in Diversity. As we emerged from the shadows and embraced our true selves, we found strength in the diversity of our society. For though we were united by our shared gifts, we were also unique individuals, each with our own strengths, weaknesses, and experiences. And it was in this diversity that we found our greatest strength. For in embracing the differences that set us apart, we discovered a richness and depth to our society that we had never known before. We learned from one another, drawing inspiration from the myriad perspectives and insights that each of us brought to the table. But even as we celebrated our differences, we also recognized the importance of unity in the face of adversity. For though our paths may have diverged, we were bound together by a common purpose and a shared vision of a world where the gifted were treated with dignity and respect. And so, we stood as one, shoulder to shoulder, united in our determination to build a better future for ourselves and for generations to come. We fought against injustice and oppression, using our powers not for personal gain, but for the greater good of all. But even as we worked towards our common goals, we also faced internal conflicts and disagreements, as different factions within our society vied for power and influence. Yet, even in the midst of turmoil, we never lost sight of what was truly important, the bonds of friendship and solidarity that held us together as one. And as we looked to the future, we knew that our journey was far from over. But with unity in our hearts and purpose in our souls, we faced the challenges ahead with courage and determination, knowing that together, we could overcome any obstacle that stood in our way. Chapter 13. Inner Turmoil. Despite our outward unity, turmoil simmered beneath the surface of our society. For as the pressures of the outside world bore down upon us, cracks began to form in the facade of solidarity that we had worked so hard to build. Doubt and distrust crept into our ranks, sowing discord and division among even the closest of allies. Old wounds resurfaced, reopening scars that had never fully healed. And as the weight of our responsibilities grew heavier with each passing day, we found ourselves grappling with the inner demons that threatened to tear us apart from within. For some among us, the burden of our gifts was too much to bear, weighing heavily upon their souls like a millstone around their necks. They struggled to control their powers, lashing out in anger and frustration at those around them. And though we tried to offer support and understanding, it was clear that their inner turmoil ran deep, threatening to consume them from the inside out. But even as we struggled with our own demons, we knew that we could not afford to let our society crumble under the weight of our own insecurities. And so we banded together, offering a shoulder to lean on and a listening ear to those in need. We reminded each other of the strength that lay within us, and the power of unity to overcome even the greatest of challenges. And as we weathered the storms of doubt and uncertainty, we emerged stronger and more resilient than ever before. For though our journey was far from over, we knew that as long as we stood together, there was nothing that could tear us apart. Chapter 14. Trials of Trust. As the winds of change swept through our society, we found ourselves facing a new set of challenges. Challenges that tested not only our strength and resilience, but also our trust in one another. For amidst the turmoil and uncertainty that surrounded us, doubts began to fester in the hearts and minds of even the most steadfast among us. Whispers of betrayal and treachery echoed through the halls of our society, casting shadows upon the bonds of friendship and camaraderie that had once held us together. It was a difficult time for us all, as we struggled to distinguish friend from foe and truth from deception. Trust, once our most cherished possession, became a rare and precious commodity, hoarded and guarded like a precious jewel. But even in the darkest of times, there were those among us who refused to succumb to the tide of suspicion and mistrust. They stood as beacons of hope in a world consumed by doubt, reminding us of the importance of faith and loyalty in the face of adversity. And so we rallied together, drawing strength from the knowledge that we were not alone in our struggles. We leaned on one another for support, forging new bonds of trust and friendship that would withstand the test of time. But even as we worked to rebuild the trust that had been lost, we knew that our journey was far from over. For the shadows of doubt still lingered, waiting to strike at the first sign of weakness. And so, we remained vigilant, knowing that only by standing together could we hope to overcome the trials that lay ahead. Chapter 15. The Ultimate Test. As our society stood on the brink of uncertainty, we knew that our ultimate test was yet to come. For despite all that we had endured, there remained those who sought to destroy us, to wipe us from the face of the earth and erase our very existence from history. And so, we braced ourselves for the inevitable confrontation, knowing that the fate of our society hung in the balance. We trained tirelessly, honing our skills and sharpening our resolve, preparing ourselves for the battle that lay ahead. But even as we readied ourselves for war, we also sought a path to peace. For we knew that violence was not the answer, and that only through understanding and compassion could we hope to bridge the divide that separated us from our enemies. And so, we reached out to them, offering an olive branch in the hopes of finding common ground. We listened to their grievances and sought to address their concerns, showing them that we were not the monsters they believed us to be. But our efforts were met with resistance, as hatred and mistrust blinded our adversaries to the truth. And so, we knew that our only recourse was to stand firm in our convictions and defend ourselves against those who sought to do us harm. And so, as the battle raged on, we fought with all our might, drawing upon the strength of our bonds and the courage of our convictions to carry us through the darkest of days. And though the road ahead was long and fraught with peril, we knew that as long as we stood together, there was nothing that could stand in our way. For we were not just a society of gifted individuals. We were a family, bound together by a common purpose and a shared destiny. And no matter what trials lay ahead, we would face them as one, united in our determination to forge a future where the light of hope would never be extinguished.